Final area to look at is the front hull, where the driver and assistant driver sit. Driver has a seat which has positions forwards and backwards by 4 inches or can go up and down by 10 inches. His hatch, known in the manual as a door, swings forward and has a periscope mounted in it. Now, why it's called a door I don't know. As another example, I was looking recently in a manual for an M123 6x6 truck. Now those of you who have been around a while will remember cars used to have a little thing in the door that you would crank around and the window would go up or down. We always call that a window handle. Well, in the army, it is a door glass regulator handle. I bet you somebody got a good OER mark for that one. Anyway, the interior compartment is pretty similar to what we've already seen in the M37. The dash is as near to identical as makes no difference. You have ignitions, 1 for each engine, starter buttons, 1 for each engine, external lights, outlet for an internal light, power socket and so on. Temperature and tachometer for both engines, so 1 on each side. 1 speedometer, 1 amperage. Steering levers, 1 for each side. The handbrake is simply this plunger, so you pull it back as far as you can, depress the plunger, let go, and your handbrake or parking brake is now set. And of course the signature part of all this is a combination transfer case and transmission. Transmission has 3 settings: neutral, drive, and low. There are 4 speeds. Drive allows you to access all 4. Low is just the bottom 2. There is no reverse in a transmission. This is handled by the transfer unit. Transfer unit has neutral, reverse, low, or high. The transfer unit is the item which combines the power outputs from both transmissions, pushes them through the propeller shaft, which comes under the center of the hull, forward into the differential, and then it gets split out into the final drives. Now again, one of the signature features about the driver's compartment is that there are 2 pedals. The accelerator in the normal position, and this one here, which is not the clutch or the brake, because of course the brakes are these. This is the neutral pedal. Now the reason this exists is that if you wanted to change the transfer case from one setting to another, such as from low to high or reverse to forward, what you have to do is the transmissions must be in neutral, otherwise you're going to have gears grinding all over the place. To save you from having to put the transmission in neutral, then going over to the transfer case, and then going back to the transmission, all you have to do is press down on the neutral pedal. It overrides whatever the setting is on the transmission select lever, puts it in neutral, you change your transfer case, let go of the neutral pedal, and the transmission will then re-engage whatever the gear was that you had it set at previously. So hypothetically, if I actually wanted to go somewhere, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have master power. Well, master power is a little red switch over your left shoulder. You turn it from a slight angle to horizontal, you're good to go. Next thing you want to do, make sure your parking brakes are set and that your transmission and transfer case are both in neutral. Now the manual states that the transfer case should be in a particular range and the ignitions should be started simultaneously, but exactly why is unclear, so oftentimes you err on the side of caution. Next you want to do is you want to start fuel flowing towards the engines, so there is a fuel pump switch on the right hand side. You select whichever tank you want to run. Once that's done, turn on the ignition for one of the engines and push and start. One engine complete. Next you want to do is the other engine. Give it a little bit of revs to warm up. Eventually you see the ammeter kick in, the generators are now cranking. Leave it there for about 30 seconds and away you go. And since we seem to have a working tank, let's take it for a drive. So first you want to do, put the transfer unit into range. Pull back to release the handbrakes. that's not right. Transmission into gear, pull back to release the handbrakes, and away we go. It really is very easy to drive this vehicle. Short, sharp flicks with the steering brake to avoid overheating. And the manual states that when you're not actually using the brake, push forward on the levers. If you need a brake, just pull back, push down on the plungers, and that applies your brakes. Okay, so I was going to change the transfer case. Push down on the neutral pedal. The transmission is now in neutral. I can now change from drive into reverse. Let go of the neutral pedal, transmission re-engages drive, so I am now driving forward in the transmission in reverse on the transfer case. Fortunately, steering is not reversed. Okay, and now we're going to go forward again. So back down on the neutral pedal, transmission corrections, transferring it back into drive. You then let go of the neutral pedal and away we go again. It must be said, this is an extremely quiet vehicle. Compared to the M4 Sherman that we had a bit earlier, you can really see people. Although admittedly the horse to my right doesn't seem too happy. So after having come to a stop, you pull back to press on the plungers. This will apply the parking brake. Come on down here. Next thing you want to do, put your transmission into neutral. Transfer case can come into neutral as well. We now have a cool down period. Well, the engine's been idling a couple of minutes now, so we'll now consider ourselves to be cooled down. Next thing you want to do is kill one of the ignitions. See the tack drops on the left engine, kill the other one. Tack drops on the right engine. Turn off your fuel pump, close the fuel valve, and the last thing you want to do is master power. Always, always, always turn off master power. There's nothing more annoying than realizing that you've left your master power on and your tank won't start. Anybody that rents airplanes will know the problem with that as well. Always switch off master power. That's it. So we come to our last position in M24, the assistant driver's travel position. Now remember, he does have a combat position behind me in the turret. Now there's a caveat to all this. The manual states that you can have a crew of 5 if you add a cannoneer, which in today's parlance is a loader. Now, as near as I can tell, this is simply a manpower reduction issue. Don't put 5 people in a recon tank that's not really designed to fight, and that way they save the manpower for other things. But on past experience, even in real life, what will sometimes happen is you'll hijack infantrymen, engineers, crewmen from abandoned or lost tanks, and make yourself a 5-man crew that way. So that way you will always have somebody in the assistant driver's position, and you will have a dedicated loader/cannoneer. When he is in the travel position, obviously the first thing you'll see in front of him is the periscope for viewing around. And I'll just get the hatch out of the way, unlock it, pull down, and up, swings around, locks into position. We'll use some of a spring here. Hatch is now locked. To his front, he has a 30 cal of his own, and an ingenious little travel lock, I have to say. You push right, and it frees him up. This is aimed, as you can see, there's absolutely no way for the sight to be used, so this is simply a spray and pray. Hopefully you have lots of tracer rounds, and you can see roughly where you're shooting through the periscope. He only has one pedal. All he has is the accelerator pedal. Neutral pedal, no such luck. His seat is adjustable in elevation, up or down. Not forwards or backwards that I can see, and even the brakes don't have a handbrake lock. but he does have a tiller for each side. So that's pretty much it for the M24. I don't think there's anything much more we can show you short of engaging targets with service ammunition. M24 went on to see service in the Korean War. Indeed, they were the first tanks to get there, and one M24 by the name of Rebel's Roost was reportedly the first tank to engage an enemy tank in action. However, by 1953 the replacement had shown up, the M41 known as the Walker Bulldog. M24s then left US Army service and were dispatched around the globe to other countries to serve on for many more years. This particular vehicle was found on a Norwegian firing range in pretty terrible condition, and I have to say credit to the Museum of the American GI for fixing it up, and they've done a hell of a job. So that was M24, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna fling it in and hope for the best. Yeah, this isn't gonna be easy. I'm gonna get this in eventually. Now I suspect part of the reason that took so much effort was that that wasn't actually a proper cartridge. I think I have an explanation. This shell casing is deformed. This particular one has something. And that is why you inspect your ammunition before you load it.